So let's get more on what to expect from Clagrid Executive Chair, CNBC co-founder, Versant Media Senior Advisor, and all-around good guy, Tom Rogers. Tom, I can't see how Netflix fires on more cylinders. Is there anything else they can do to make things even better? Because they seem to be kind of running the media show right now.
Well, Brian, as one analyst said in a Netflix note, congratulations on your engagement, because their engagement with the biggest movie they've ever had over this last quarter, K-pop Demon Hunters, which my grandkids watched thousands of times, contributing to what was 500 million views on Netflix, was a true engagement feat. And despite no King's Day, they do remain the king of long-form streaming. They've cracked the code on pricing like nobody else has. Their programming budget is enormous relative to competitors on streaming. They have international production, global subscale, and an ad revenue business that's growing extremely well. Put all that together and they're going to remain the kings. They're not going to be dethroned when it comes to long-form streaming.
Will short-form video, will AI dethrone everybody?
That was the right segue. Yeah, I said long-form streaming because that's their vulnerability. YouTube is actually growing their market share on the television faster than Netflix is. In terms of total TV time, Netflix has about 13% of total TV time. Netflix a little under 9%. YouTube's been growing much faster. But what's coming on the scene is AI-generated video. The quality capability of these new video generation elements that AI provides, not only the script writing, the content creation, the post-production, all capable of creating highly professional short-form video. And YouTube has much better claim to incorporating that novel entry into the media market than Netflix does. And that, I think, is a competitive challenge. Now, I don't believe Netflix is going to allow itself to become legacy media. They've been the disruptor, and I got to believe they are so aware of this that they're going to avoid becoming the disruptee. But we haven't seen anything yet by way of a strategy, and that's something to keep an eye on.
Godfather, so it does seem as if you've gotten a little bit more sanguine on Netflix. By the way, you've nailed this one, including the sanguineness, if I may. My question for you is, so more broadly, as we think about the threats from AI, you've been talking about the threat to legacy TV for a long time. How do you see the current dynamic with private equity getting into the space? Do you think there is a bid for assets that a lot of people were calling for dead, some of the parts dynamics? To me, the fascinating part of what's going on is not that Netflix isn't dominant. We know that. The question is, are there other players out there ready to? They're not going to be legacy, but whether it's Paramount Sky, whether it's some of the other players that seem to be trying to consolidate assets. What do you see in there?
Well, that's a big question. And looking at it through a Netflix lens, I don't see Netflix participating in big M&A bids. I don't think they need to. Many thought that they were going to have to pursue a big acquisition to get where they got, but they're way ahead of the pack, and I think they'll stay there. Where they could get disrupted through other people's M&A is their programming is such that the long tail of library programs, not the top 10 titles, which is really only about 7% of Netflix viewing, but about 70% of their viewing comes from the library of other media companies in large part. And they've done terrifically well in licensing that, pretty cheap too, because they do non-exclusive deals for this content, and they're able to really drive viewership off of it. But if other companies decided, let's say Warner, which is responsible for, I think, 7 of the top 20 Netflix shows, if Warner was acquired by Paramount, and Paramount decided this is no longer in our strategic interest to license that kind of library product to Netflix, that would really put a crimp potentially in Netflix in a competitive way. Otherwise, I think Netflix rides above the M&A wave.